Hi, I'm Marites Kaktoy, and today we are going to talk about feminism. When we hear this particular word, feminism, the first thing that would come to our mind is being a female, femininity, woman, etc. That is correct. It's obviously right. But let us try to elaborate this particular concept or ideology. So, let's define first this term, feminism. The etymological definition of feminism comes from the French word feminisme, circa 1837, and then ultimately from Latin femininus or femina, which means woman. So like what I've mentioned before, when we hear feminism, um, originally it's just a simple meaning. So being a feminine or being a woman, but it actually gained a deeper meaning in 1985, which means advocacy of women's rights. Feminism is a collection of political movements, social movements, and ideologies that defend the political, economic, and the social rights of women. So, feminist movements aim at achieving and establishing equality between women and men. Feminists act, speak, write, and advocate on behalf of women's issues and rights and identity injustice to females in the social status quo. So when we hear feminism, we always think, or we sometimes, people think na um, if you are an advocate of feminism, you would like to become superior um, than men. Parang ganun yung iniisip minsan ng mga tao when we hear feminism. But clearly, when we say feminism, it is not about believing that a woman is superior. It's not. Also, it's not about hating men because that would be a different issue or that would be a different terminology. It's called misandry. So, feminism is not also about male oppression. So, feminists, like what I've mentioned before, they just simply aim in achieving and establishing equality between women and men. Now, feminism, there are three particular waves, or this is what we call the era or the timeline um, of feminism. So, like what I mentioned, there are three waves, and there are thinkers. So, they are what we call the proponents of feminism. Let's discuss each. It is divided into three waves. The first wave, it is a movement of the 19th through early 20th centuries, which dealt mainly with suffrage, working conditions, and educational rights for women and girls. So, this particular era or particular timeline, the focus of feminist activity is to win these particular things, which they actually did. These are the key concerns that they advocate in the first wave during this particular era. So, first of all, women's suffrage. So, it is actually the right to vote. Before, as we all know, even in the Philippines, actually, not just in the Europe and United States, women does not have the right to vote. 'Di ba? Only men are given the chance to vote. So, in this particular era, women would no longer be treated as a second class citizen. So, it's as if giving the right to vote is also giving them a voice wherein they can express kung sino yung particular candidate na gusto nilang manalo. The right in political affair eventually came after the right for women to vote, which was actually granted in 1971. And then, the next one is the right to education. So, para sa mga feminists, it is also important, in line with the right to vote, na magkaroon ng education. Syempre, how can they actually choose the right candidate? How can they voice it out kung hindi sila nakapag-aral? So, in this era, women are already given the right to education para rin ma-boost yung kanilang self-identity and to actually unleash other potentials aside from simply being a mom or being a woman on the household. Kasi 'di ba, before, gaya nga ng sinabi ko, merong particular stereotype or merong universal thought na women are just simply wives. They are born to give birth. So this particular era, it increased the number of female enrollees and actually it increased also the number of of women who enroll in higher education. And then the next one is better working conditions. So before, meron na ring mga labor unions. And then yung mga labor unions na yan, they actually discriminate working with women. So, parang yung mga career women is parang hindi siya uso before. They believe, again, stereotype nga, na yung mga lalaki should earn a living wage without having his wife to work. So, dapat yung mga lalaki yung um, should be the one who is bringing bread in the table. Also, sinasabi din before na there are or most of the crafts and industries are designed for men. So, hindi pwedeng magtrabaho yung babae kasi sinasabi nga nila na mabigat yung work itself. There's also a general belief that women are difficult to organize. And may mga stereotype din na women are not supposed to be or are not meant to be union members. So in line with those issues, merong first woman legislation which is what we call EPA or Equal Pay Act na sinasabi na kapag ang babae is same yung ginagawa niya sa lalaki would be merit equal pay. So same work, same pay. Kasi nga hindi ko nabanggit before na yun nga, although may same work, hindi same yung pay kasi nga babae siya. So, kahit ganun kabigat yung ginagawa nila, hindi parehas yung pay. So, that's why this particular legislation were approved. Also, the other one, or the second one, is Title 7. It was created to combat discrimination in employment for women. So, ayun, ito yung parang naging resolution nila dito sa mga key concerns na to or sa issues na to. The next key concern would be marriage and property laws. So, meron ding particular legislation or act in line with that, which is Married Women's Property Act. It gave women shared ownership of children to have a say in children's wills and testaments, wages, and also inherit property. So again, ito nga yung naging resolution kasi before, kumbaga wala silang say when it comes to their children or wages as well. And then the next one is yung reproductive rights. So, yun nga, as a female, it's as if we are born to give birth, 'di ba? So in this era as well, women should or not should but they can refuse to have a-sex with their husband. So ito yung isang pinaglalaban nung first wave kasi parang it's as if you are obligated or parang it's an obligation when you are a married couple to do that. So, sabi dito, they would want women to also um, have the right to refuse in such activities. And then yung one of the famous thinkers or proponents in the first wave is Mary Wollstonecraft. Okay, so Mary Wollstonecraft was an English writer who advocated for women's equality. And yung pinaka-contribution niya or yung pinaka-popular book niya is A Vindication of the Rights of Women. Okay. So, like I said, she was renowned for these two main works, A Vindication of the Rights of Men, written in 1970 in reply to Edmund Burke's reflection on the Revolution of France. And then the other one is yun nga, yung Vindication of the Rights of a Woman. She is highly influenced by Jean-Jacques Rousseau. She wanted to expand democratic society, but solely based in gender equality. So she discussed social and moral equality of the sexes. So yung pinaka-primary focus niya ng literary career niya is to envision social political order in which women were treated as rational, autonomous beings capable of independence and virtue. So, Mary Wollstonecraft, dahil doon, siya ay isa sa mga tinaguriang foundational figure in the feminist thought. Now, let's move on with the second wave. So, the second wave is from 1960s to 1980s, dealt with the inequality of laws, as well as cultural inequalities and the role of women in the society. So, ang key concerns naman ng second wave is raising consciousness about sexism and patriarchy. So, yun nga, sexism is about the prejudice, stereotyping, and discrimination on the basis of sex. And then the patriarchy would be, they are against with the idea of men being the primary power in different criteria such as politics, social privilege, property, and even moral authority. So they also raise consciousness about gender-based violence, domestic abuse, and marital rape. And then yun nga, they continued raising awareness when it comes to inequalities in the workplace, legalizing abortion and birth control, and then sexual liberation of women. So, in this particular era, or on the second wave of feminism, dito nagkaroon ng legalization when it comes to abortion. And then dito rin pumasok yung mga birth control. In the 1960, FDA approved oral contraceptive pill for women. Ito yung parang naging tulong nila when it comes to career women. So, yung mga nagtatrabaho, they don't, yun nga, syempre may mga unexpected pregnancies, lalo na, yun nga, sa may mga asawa. So, parang ito yung naging resolution nila, yung mga contraceptive pill. So, they held workshops, they administered pamphlets about safe abortions. Although they are in favor of that, nag-raise pa rin sila ng consciousness or they are still against, they strong stance against physical violence and sexual assault. And then one of the famous thinkers or proponent in the second wave is Simone de Beauvoir. So she is a French writer laid in the foundation for the modern feminist movement. Also an existentialist philosopher, and she had a long-term relationship with Jean-Paul Sartre. Ang pinaka-famous book ni Simone de Beauvoir is yung what we call The Second Sex. Actually, it gained a lot of criticism. It is a 1,000-page critic of patriarchy and second-rate status granted to women throughout history. Actually, one particular trivia in this book is the Vatican placed this particular book on the list of forbidden texts. So bakit kaya pinili ng church or ng Vatican na ilagay ito sa mga forbidden books? unang-una, diniscuss ni Beauvoir sa Second Sex yung being the other, or what we call nga being the second sex. It's as if um lag women are defined as laging parang pangalawa or laging related sa lalaki. We are always considered as the other when it comes to patriarchal society. Pero sabi ni Beauvoir, having said na women can get pregnant, lactating, also menstruating, it means that we are not just, or women are not just second sex. It's as if it's not a valid reason for us to be just secondary with men. Kasi parang what's happening before, actually even right now, parang lagi tayong tinitreat as subordinate. Um, we are being defined as women not by ourselves or not by herself, but relative to him or relative to men. And having said that, maraming ang issues na men oppress women. They seek to perpetuate family and keep patrimony intact. Also, yung diniscuss ko rin before, which is yung abortion, the main reason or their main claim kung bakit nila nilegalize to is, yun nga, bakit nga ba sinasabi na parang immorality yung abortion? So, para kay Simone de Beauvoir, abortion is not a matter of morality. It's not an issue of morality, but rather, it's about masculine sadism toward women. And also, sinabi niya rin na pregnancy is both a gift and a curse. So, for moms out there, it is very obvious since they experience it, diba? Binanggit niya pa dito sa book na to na woman, or let's say moms or mother, has to be useful, prepare food, clothes, lodging for the family, but cannot complain. Kasi nga parang dinidefine siya dahil dun sa mga bagay na ginagawa niya, not as herself or not as a woman, kundi parang ang definition niya is yun nga, mag-prepare ng pagkain or maging slave sa bahay. Yun yung parang naging primary definition niya. So parang against doon si Simon. In this particular book also, binanggit niya, may nagbanggit siya ng mga successful women na parang feeling niya nakapag-escape na sa masculine sadism and masochism. So, she mentioned few women who successfully reached equality. And sinabi niya na yung mga taong yun or yung mga babaeng yun is yung mga women na merong career. So, yun yung mga kinoconsider niya na successful. Then, that's it for the second wave. And then for the next, we have the third wave, which is from 1990s to 2000s, is seen both a continuation of the second wave and a response to the perceived failure. So, continuation lang siya, and also, kung may mga nakita mong flaw from the second wave, it was responded. Third wave of feminism arose partially as a response to perceived failures of second wave feminism. In this particular era, they actually embraced individualism as well as diversity of a woman. The first key concern is yung intersectionality, which is the idea that women experience layers of oppression caused, for example, by gender, race, or class. So, it's not just about being female din eh. Pumasok na rin dito siguro yung color, yung race, and class. So, binanggit dito na diversity of women is recognized and emphasis is placed on identity, gender, race, nation, social order, and sexual preference. There's also a changes in on stereotypes, media portrayals, and language used to define women, or yung last one is sexual identities. Now, let's discuss particularly yung sa media. media portrayals. One example is Riot Girl. Riot Girl is not a specific person, but it is a subculture. It is a hardcore punk rock, which they advocate art. They talk about rape, sexuality, patriarchy, and female empowerment on the viewpoint of adolescent girls. So dito, yung Riot Girl is like a band or subculture na na-establish during the third wave, na pinapakita nila yung diversity ng isang babae on the point of view of an adolescent. And then yung pinaka-famous, or one of the famous proponents or thinkers during the third wave is Judith Butler. So, buhay pa siya until now. Unlike the other two, which were already deceased. So, she's an American gender theorist and professor of comparative literature and rhetoric at the University of California. She has written many books and articles on feminism, gender theory, philosophy, and culture. So, yung i-discuss ko, yung one of famous books niya is yung Gender Trouble, Feminism, and Subversion of Identity. Ano ba yung nilalaman ng book na to? So, yung book din na to is very, marami ring criticism. Kasi, up until now, maraming nakakabasa, and up until now, the issues that were discussed in this book is present. So she believed that the gender is culturally constructed through the repetition of stylized acts in time. So diniscuss niya dito yung difference nga ng sex at saka gender. So she challenged the assumption that sex is biological and gender is culturally constructed. Instead, sinabi niya na yung gender daw is performative. Anong ibig sabihin niya nung sinabi niya na gender is performative? Ibig niya sabihin, your behavior creates your gender. So, kung mapapansin nyo, it's not just about women na lang, or it's not just about feminism, but she discusses both gender. So, sabi niya, yung behavior mo daw ang magdedetermine ng gender mo. So, for her, gender identity is something that we do rather than is born with us along with our sex. So, kung mapapansin nyo nga, di ba, merong notion, even in the present society, actually, mas, ano nga siya sa present society, di ba, na when it comes to male, you have to be masculine. And then, when it comes to female, dapat parang girly or maarte ka. Dito nga pumapasok yung parang mga ideas na parang pagbabae, kailangan favorite color pink, tapos naglalaro ng Barbie. And then, kapag yung mga lalaki naman, they have to play cars, action figures, tapos parang associated with the color blue. Dapat ganun yung mga favorite colors mo. Tapos yung diniscuss niyang problem when it comes to gender is that we conform. Yun nga, since may mga ganong notions, parang ang nangyayari is we conform and perform it according to the expectation of society. So, ito yung tinatawag niyang heteronormativity. Bakit nga ba nagkakaroon ng heteronormativity? Dahil nga, binanggit niyang mga factors dito is media. Yun nga, may mga films or may mga TV shows wherein nagpo-portray na kapag lalaki dapat ganito, pag babae dapat ganito. And then, syempre, ina-adapt yun ng mga tao. Kasi nga kapag hindi ka nag-adapt doon, it's as if doon na nga pumapasok yung mga LGBT or nagkakaroon ng mga discrimination kapag hindi ka nag-conform or hindi ka nag-follow doon sa pinaka-normal na notion ng society. Ito yung tinatawag niya na gender trouble. So, parang anong nangyayari, yun nga, yung mga tao na parang paglalaki, tas hindi ka naging masculine, or parang pagbabae, hindi ka naging girly, dito na pumapasok yung tinatawag niyang gender trouble, na parang it's a painful alternative na kapag hindi ka sumunod sa notion ng society, masakit, mahirap umamin, or parang minority mainstream yung mga ganong bagay. Hindi siya masyadong nade-dealt with. Kasi nga, parang iba. It's as if it's different. Parang kapag hindi ka nag-fit, mahihirapan ka. Mahihirapan kang umamin when it comes to your family. It's as if it's a forbidden act na mag-go against the way. And then yung binanggit niya dito na key or parang resolution when it comes to gender trouble is to actively perform subversive gender roles. Yung binanggit niya na subversive gender roles is, for example, may nabasa ako na si Jaden Smith, kahit lalaki siya, pumapasok siya minsan sa school na naka-skirt or naka-dress. And also, another one is Kristen Stewart. She is sometimes wearing suit and tie. So, ito yung binigay niyang example ng mga subversive individuals. Ito yung sinasabi niya na pwedeng maging resolution when it comes to gender trouble. Para hindi kailangang matakot, or hindi kailangang, sinasabi niya na hindi kailangang mag-go with the flow sa society. And then, that's it. Those are the waves of feminism and thinkers. Thank you so much.